Hey guys, what's up? It's the Merc here from PoolShed Games, and this is the first episode of Tales from the PoolShed. Basically, where we're going to be talking about what I've been doing over the summer with my friends, because there's no quest for gaming at college, and, well, I mean, we gotta have some kind of gaming, right? So, last week on Thursday, three of us got together, so obviously we didn't get to roleplay because the whole group wasn't here. Kind of thinking that's going to happen slightly more frequently than we had planned, but like I said, we're all adults, we all have jobs, and most of them are third or second shift, so there's not a lot we can do about that. But anyway, it was myself, my buddy Jalil, and my buddy Kalen who got together, and we ended up playing board games. And funnily enough, the first sit-down we had ended up being cooperative board game night. Cooperative board games are great. If you guys have never played one, basically what you're doing is it's you and your friends versus the game. And the game is designed in such a way to have a random element to it that makes it so if you don't work together, you will lose to the game. And it's annoying sometimes to lose to a game because you're like, I lost to a game. There's no artificial intelligence, there's no other person on the other side of the table that I've lost to. I've lost to a game that's just random mechanics set up in such a way that it can defeat me and my friends if we don't do the right thing. So that's the way cooperative games work. And it's kind of refreshing sometimes to be able to work together with your friends in a board game when you're so used to playing like competitive games like, say, Risk or Zombies, or even when you're used to playing tabletop miniature games, because usually, well, all the time in a tabletop miniature game, it's you versus the other guy, or you and your buddy versus another team. So cooperative board games shake it up a little bit. They give a new feel to what you're doing. The games we played, we started off with Forbidden Island, which at the end of this video, I'm going to put in a little bit of coverage of what comes in the box for Forbidden Island, and just talk a little bit about it because I think it's a lesser known game. And I'm also going to show off Pandemic, which was the second game we played. Just the box, the back of the box, and that. So, first game we played was Forbidden Island. And this was the first time that Jalil had played it. I have played it quite a few times, and my buddy Kalen, I think he said, had played it once or twice. So it was kind of new experience for them. I knew kind of what was going on. And the thing with Forbidden Island is you randomly generate the island, which it's a bunch of tiles. And we got pretty lucky because the initial generation of the island for us wasn't too terribly bad. Sometimes the island can just be put together in such a way that you look at it and you're like, we're going to lose. Just right from the get-go, you can be like, we're going to lose. And I think you guys will see that when I show you the box and the tile and how the island's set up. On top of that, we ended up with a pretty decent team component because in the game, everybody gets a random role for a character as what they do. I was an explorer, which is really helpful. Kalen was a diver, which is super handy because when tiles on the island sink, they can't be crossed, but if you have a diver, they can go across sunken tiles. Really helpful. And Jalil was a navigator, so he could actually move other players where they needed to be on his turn with his actions. So it was a really good combination of the team. And the other thing is, when you're playing a cooperative game, everybody is either going to come together, work together, or you're going to have egos and people are going to be like, no, I appreciate what you're telling me to do, but I'm going to do this because I think it's the best option. And for the most part, actually completely, we had a team where we kind of just stood around and we looked at the board and we really contemplated, what do we need to do to win? What do we need to do to get the treasures and get off the island? And we worked together as a cohesive team. Therefore, we defeated the island. The island didn't defeat us, which was super cool. Now, the thing with Forbidden Island is it doesn't take a lot of time. I think we were done in about an hour. Which, for being the first time, for kind of the first time some of them played, that's pretty good. Now, we moved on to another one of my favorite cooperative games, which is a bit more unforgiving. Now, don't get me wrong, Forbidden Island is a game that if you're not in the right mindset, you're not prepared, will beat you and have no qualms about beating you. But the second game we played, Pandemic, which is by Z-Man Games, it's won a couple awards, 2 in the US, 1 in France, 1 in Australia, is a game that I think is powered by a malevolent sprite that actually takes joy in beating the human players that have sat down to play the game. And the reason I say this is because the majority of times that I've played it, except for 1 or 2 where I've played on easy with my friends up at school, I've lost. My track record win to loss ratio to this game is not good. It's like 2 wins to 3 or 4 losses so far. And that's with a bunch of different players and a bunch of different groups, and it's just, that's the way the game kind of works. You know, you and your friends sit down as a team of researchers and civil servants and emergency personnel, and you're trying to stop 4 viral outbreaks. You can name them whatever you want, or just like red, blue, yellow, and black. Those are the 4 colors. And everybody gets a random roll, kind of like in Forbidden Island, that tells you, what your abilities are. So one is really good as a quarantine specialist, which we luckily had on our team, Jalil, which disease cubes cannot be placed in the city where the quarantine specialist is, or in cities that are connected to it. That's huge. It's fantastically helpful. I was the engineer or civil planner. It's a really nice card because it lets you build a research facility anywhere. You don't need a card to do it. And I don't remember off the top of my head. Oh, Kalen was the medic. And the medic is super helpful because wherever the medic goes, normally you can spend an action to cure 1 cube of disease. The medic can cure all cubes of disease with 1 action. Super helpful. So, the way the game works is you initially start off with 6 cities that have disease. 3 cities are at the maximum of 3 cubes, 2 are at 2, and 3 at 2 and 3 are at 1. And everybody starts in Atlanta, and you get 3 actions, which you can either move. No, 4 actions. Yeah, my bad, 4 actions. And you can either move from city to city that's connected to each other, or you get city cards that you can either A, spend to fly to the city, or you can save up 4 of the same color to turn in to cure the disease of that color. So, we started off and things were going pretty well. To be honest with you, the Western Hemisphere, the United States and South America, Middle America, and like Canada, was doing fantastic. There's very few disease cubes there, but the Eastern Hemisphere was a little worse off. Mostly in like the Middle East and Eastern Europe, especially. There's a lot of disease that had started there, and kind of the Asia area also was not doing too good. And we were doing well. We were crunching the numbers. We were running interventions. We were stopping diseases. We had placed Jalil in Istanbul, which seemed to be like the heart of one of the diseases, and he had stopped it because it couldn't spread with him there. And everything had been going very, very well. And 9 times out of 10, when things are going very, very well in Pandemic, that's when something falls apart. And that's exactly what happened to us. We had 1 outbreak earlier in the game, and we put out those hot spots, and we kind of got it under control. And then we had a second outbreak, and we were able to put out a couple of those hot spots, but there was still a few that were going to cause us trouble. And what an outbreak is when a city reaches 3 cubes of disease, you can't put any more on it. But if it's infected again, it spreads disease to all the cities that are connected to it. And that counts as an outbreak. And now this is really bad if you have a city with 3 cubes that's connected to another city with 3 cubes, and you have an outbreak. Because now this city can't have any more cubes of disease put on it, so it spreads to all the cities it touches. And then that hits this city, which also can't have any more cubes, so that causes another outbreak. And then that spreads to a bunch of other cities. you can only experience 7 outbreaks in the game before you lose. Because at that point it's considered that too much of the population has been infected. There's no coming back. There's no pulling it back from the brink. So that's what happened to us. We hit the point where we just had a chain reaction of outbreaks, and it was just like dominoes. One fell, and it hit another one fell, and that hit another one, and it just was a chain reaction. And the funniest thing was, I had kind of seen this coming, because I took a gamble on where I was going to go to try to fix something, and obviously it didn't pay off. It could have, but it didn't. Kalen, I think, was sort of aware that this was going to happen, but Jalil didn't see it coming. And the funniest thing was, when we flipped the card and Kalen and I were sitting there, and we kind of put the cubes down for the first outbreak, and then we were like, oh, wait, this is going to cause this to happen, and that's going to cause that to happen. And I moved the outbreak marker, and I was like, well, this was fun. Kalen's like, yep, it's over. And Jalil was kind of like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean it's over? What do you mean? And we're like, well, you see this happened. And he's like, oh. It's like, damn it. It's like, yeah, this is a pandemic. And the funny thing is, I have what I call the different levels of pandemic. And I've seen this every time I've played it. When you start playing Pandemic, everyone's really like cheery, you're joking around, there's witty banter at the table. You're not taking it too seriously because you're like, oh yeah, it's a game, we're playing together, it's fun. And then a little bit into it, maybe after the first epidemic card comes up or your first outbreak, things start to get a little bit more serious. You start to get into the zone. You're like, oh man, this is kind of bad. And you actually start, well, like the people I play with and myself, you start to get a little stressed because you're starting to take it seriously. You're putting yourself in that mindset, and you're like, we gotta do something. We gotta win. We gotta stop these viruses. You might flip a cure. You might get a cure or two, and you're like, yeah, we're doing it. And then next thing you know, you've got like 3 outbreaks tripping off at once, and then you're just like super nervous, super tense. The witty banter is gone. The like little offhanded comment, the jokes, they're kind of fallen to the wayside now as you're focused on the game. You're in the zone, and then one of two things happens. You either win, and there's just this collective sigh of relief, and you're like, yeah, we did it. We beat Pandemic, we saved humanity. Or what more often happens is you lose, and there's this collective groan of like, oh, damn you, game. And the game has won, and you're like, shit. Well, I guess since we work for the government, we're getting carted off to the secure disease-proof bunkers while the rest of humanity just suffers and languishes. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to leave you hanging. Peace out. And then if you have enough time, either set up and you're like, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna win. We're gonna beat the game. Or if you don't have enough time, you're like, is there beer in the fridge? Yeah, there's beer in the fridge. I need a beer. Just give me a beer. I need to relax. Or if you don't drink, you can have some tea. Can I have a coffee? I need something to just kind of unwind and relax a little bit, because that got way more serious than I actually had anticipated it. It got into my headspace, and I was not expecting that. That's what I've encountered when I've played Pandemic. There's like those 3 to 4 stages. Happy, kind of happy, but starting to get a little serious. The witty banter's gone. It's very serious. And then there's the end where it's either like, yeah, we did it, or, shit, we lost. That's Pandemic. And that was us Thursday night last week, because we lost, and the virus won. It's just crushing. But anyway, that was the first Tales from the PoolShed. That was our first evening of gaming together. I'm hoping maybe we're going to do the roleplay this week, but I'm kind of thinking we might not because of scheduling, so it'll be more board games. I don't know if I want to continue the cooperative games, maybe move into semi-cooperative games where you can work together for so long before you start dicking each other over, or just do a straight-out competitive game. I don't know. I'll figure it out when the time comes. Hopefully you guys like the video. If you want to try board games and you're not sure people are going to play or not, a cooperative game is a great way to start because no one feels like they've lost unless everyone loses. So that's going to do it for us here at PoolShed Games. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, let us know what you thought. If you have a favorite pandemic or Forbidden Island moment, leave it in the comments, or turn it in for a chance to win the Space Marine Command Squad giveaway. You can either leave the comment on that video, which will be up probably before this. I'll either annotate it or give a link, or you can send the story to our email, which is poolshedgames@hotmail.com. PoolShed is all one word, no capitals. And we'll see you next time here at PoolShed Games.
Hey guys, what's up? It's the Merc here from PoolShed Games, and because I'm going to be talking about this in the Tales from the Poolshed episode 1, I wanted to give you guys a brief overview of Forbidden Island. Now this is a cooperative board game for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up. And as you can see here, like, look at all the space on our table. It doesn't take up a lot of room. Comes in this box, not a very big box. And this is the components that make up the island. Then you have the rule book, the water meter, which is the tracker to see how close you are to losing. Then you have a selection of colored pawns for player pieces. You have the 4 treasures, which here I'll take out. You have one that looks like candy. I tell everyone I play this with, don't eat this, it's not candy. You have a chalice, some kind of a mystical orb, and the griffin. And also, there is a couple of decks of cards, which these here you can see relate to places on the island. And what those are for is each turn, depending on the number here on the slider, that's how many of these cards you flip over, and each card you flip over will either make a tile do this, which means it's sinking, or if you get it again, do this, which means it's gone. Now there are other cards, which these are the order of play cards. They're also the character cards. So each pawn is a color, and that color represents what its role is. So like the explorer may move and or shore up diagonally. That's really nice because normally when you're playing this game, your characters can only go to adjacent tiles. But with the explorer, you can go from this tile to, say, that tile. And what shoring up means is when a tile is sinking, you can say, I'm going to shore that up for an action, and flip it back over. So, those are very helpful and nice to have. Lastly, you have a sampling of cards that look like this. Those are bad. I'll talk about those in a second. And these are the treasure cards. You need 4 of these. And once you have 4 of these, of the same kind, there's one for each treasure. Once you have 4, you have to be on a tile of the same treasure. You can spend an action to turn them in, and you get the treasure. Which is the whole goal of the game. You're trying to get all the treasures before the island sinks, the helicopter pad sinks, or if both of the tiles that treasure, if both of those sink before you get the treasure, you lose. And if it should happen that tiles would sink in such a way that a player is stranded and can't get back to the helipad or can't move at all, the team loses. Now there are also these kind of cards in the treasure deck, which are helpful cards. Sandbag let you shore up any tile on the island. which is huge because you don't have to be adjacent or diagonal to it. And then there are these. These are the bad cards. Waters rise. This means the island is sinking faster. You move the water level up 1 tick mark, which is this. It's how it goes up. You shuffle the flood discard pile and place it on top of the flood draw pile. And then you draw whatever the number is there of cards. And that's how tiles sink. The one other way to lose is if the water marker makes it to the skull and crossbones. Which, if the water marker has made it to the skull and crossbones, you probably lost anyway. Like I said, this is a really... On the outside of it, it seems like a very simple game, but because it's cooperative, if you don't have a team that works together, you're going to lose. And if you just get unlucky, you're probably going to lose. This is actually a Mensa... I think it's won awards from the Mensa Association game. So, it's a fun little game. And there you have it. That's Forbidden Island. I'll be talking a little bit about our playthrough of this in the first episode of Tales from the PoolShed. We'll see you guys later. Hey guys, this is the second game we played on during our first time here for Tales for the PoolShed. I think this is a game a lot of people are familiar with. This is Pandemic from Z-Man Games. It's won international awards in the US, France, Australia. This is the newest version, I guess. My buddy Kalen, who plays, he has a copy of this, and when we were playing, he said some of the things in his game are different. So this is a little bit newer. This is basically the rundown. Treat diseases before they spread. Meet up to collect cards. Discover the cure for the disease. And cure all 4 diseases to win. But wait. Every turn new infections appear and outbreaks might occur. Can you save humanity? A lot of times the answer to that question is simply no. No, you can't. This has 2 new roles. And this game is a lot of fun, but it's also very frustrating sometimes. Because we were playing it Thursday. I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the video. More. We thought we were doing okay, but we lost in a turn. So I'll explain the mechanics of this game a little bit more in the first episode of the Tales from the PoolShed. But I just wanted to show the box, the back, kind of let you know what we had played, and I will see you guys later.